the best fights the UFC can make from a promotional standpoint. I'm talking rivalries that the UFC can put on in 2025. These are all realistic. We even have some of these that have been announced already, but the point that I'm making is I'm going to talk about a few fights that would be massive when it comes to generating hype because of how heated these rivalries would be and just in general how fun the buildup would be to these fights. So without further ado, the first one, Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland. In my opinion, this is the most heated rivalry in the UFC right now. There's a real beef between Khamzat and Sean Strickland. And this is not new. This is not something that just started happening the last month. No, Strickland's been shitting on Khamzat for quite some time, and now Khamzat's been chirping back. Strickland's talking about the Kadyrov situation. Okay, and Khamzat is talking about Strickland's upbringing. And again, the Kadyrov situation, Strickland's upbringing, these are things that neither man can control, really. Okay, it's not like it's Khamzat's choice to have a relationship with like the big kingpin of Chechnya. It's that his family lives there, and he can't exactly decline an invitation when Kadyrov wants to see him in Chechnya. Okay, otherwise things aren't going to go over so well for him, let alone maybe his family. Okay, so it's a real tough situation for Khamzat. Same thing with Strickland and, you know, his upbringing. He doesn't want people bringing that up, but listen, this is why this is such a heated matchup. And if you also look at the way Khamzat's talking some shit, it's not just about Sean Strickland and his upbringing. It's also just the classic brother shit talking point for anytime they're fighting somebody that doesn't have an undefeated record. They basically come at you. They show the 4 losses that you've had in your career and they say, brother, why so many losses, brother? And they think it's the funniest thing in the world. And it is kind of funny because they all have undefeated records of they only lost 1 fight. Islam Makhachev does the same thing when he fights people. He says, brother, this guy has 10 losses, brother. And he'll have like 3 losses. But to them, it's like 100 losses. To them, if you've lost more than 1 fight, you're essentially a journeyman that's been paid to take a dive in every single fight of your career. They can't even take you serious. Okay, so that to Khamzat is like the biggest. This guy loses more than 2 fights, brother. What is going on here, brother? It's hilarious to me. So it's not just the Kadyrov situation. Then obviously you've got Strickland that's, you know, talking about the crypto thing too. And Khamzat Chimaev came out with this crypto coin, this cryptocurrency. First off, that's not great. But if you bought Khamzat Chimaev's UFC meme coin, then that's the best money you'll ever lose because that'll teach you a lesson not to buy UFC fighter meme coins. And you shouldn't be doing that. This is heated, okay? Because Khamzat for the past couple of years, think about it, he's not been Mr. I kill everybody, bro. I kill everybody. He's not the guy that was throwing front kicks at Kevin Holland backstage that was crashing out against Nate Diaz. You know, there was a whole press conference that was canceled for that. I still believe, by the way, and if you guys remember UFC 279, I still believe that the whole UFC 279 press conference thing being canceled, the last minute weight miss for Khamzat Chimaev and they rearranged all the fights, I think all of that was totally fucking planned from the start. I think the whole thing was bullshit. I don't think the press conference got canceled for any other reason than promotion in and of itself. Okay? You know, Dana White had us believe that there was like a 200-man fight, 200-man army fight, free for all backstage. No footage of it whatsoever. And when they showed footage of it, by the way, these aren't just fighters. These are coaches, teammates, fucking regular people, custodians. And the fucking footage that they showed to try to prove how crazy it was getting backstage was Nate Diaz walking with his crew backstage. There's like nobody around. And he didn't even say anything. So they literally clipped an audio piece from like 2 years prior of Nate Diaz saying, what? That was not synced with Nate Diaz doing what he's actually doing in the footage of him walking backstage. They created the whole thing. Like, it's such bullshit. But listen, my point is Khamzat used to be the guy that you could definitely see just like, you know, crashing out. You call him a nincompoop back in the day and he would fucking go at you and try to throw you through a roof. But for the past couple of years, that's not been the Khamzat we've been seeing. That's not been the Khamzat. We've been seeing Harry Potter Khamzat. We've been seeing Harry Potter Khamzat with the glasses, man. Mr. Smiley Pants, Mr. Nice Guy, showing up to interviews. Maybe he's doing a little bit of the smirk, but he's also at this point where he just doesn't seem to care, man. Khamzat, he's letting bygones be bygones. He's letting things roll off the shoulder, man. Just sticks and stones may break my bones.
Beginning in my career, I was like that. So why these guys saying this, that, man? Whatever they say is nothing personal for me.
But the thing is, though, the sticks and stones may break my bones, the words that never hurt me people are the ones that get the most pissed off. And that's the thing. Khamzat is going to get pissed eventually. And he's not going to be able to contain it because he's at a 0. And he's going to go to a 100. Okay, I trust McGregor. I trust him to contain it more than I trust Khamzat after a certain point. The people that have potential to have the most legendary crash outs are not the people that are turned up to a 75, that are always on edge. Okay? Like a McGregor. McGregor's always at a 95, right? McGregor passes you and you say, hey, let's go, Habib. And he'll turn around and spit in your face, okay? Whereas Khamzat Chimaev, he's at a 0. One more line from Sean Strickland or, a little wisecrack at a press conference can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And then the next thing you know, Khamzat's running across the press conference stage and you're going to need an army to get him off. And Sean Strickland as well. Sean Strickland might get to the point where, Strickland's one of these guys, he puts a smile on and nothing could possibly offend him. And then Khamzat's just going to be getting him with the same old stingers over and over again. And it might start to piss off Sean Strickland to where you see Strickland, who's also not Mr. Stable. You might see Sean Strickland blow a fuse as well and run across the octagon and try to fight Khamzat Chimaev at the press conference. So the point that I'm making is the Kadyrov situation, Khamzat doesn't have any control over that. Neither can Strickland control his upbringing. So the buildup is going to be intense, okay? Next up, and this is going to come as a surprise, but Dustin Poirier versus Rafael Fizeiv actually would get fucking heated, okay? Tell me Dustin Poirier and Rafael Fizeiv is low-key a Mr. Smirky guy in the fucking lightweight division. He's, if you've seen Rafael Fizeiv fight Bobby Green, he's like running around like, he has his hand, he's running around chasing Bobby Green. He's clowning him. Rafael Fizeiv has a fucking huge ego in the cage. And when you see him spar, he's like clowning people. He's Mr. Funny Guy, low-key. And if there's something that Dustin Poirier doesn't like, it's a guy with a fucking smirk on his face. All right, you ask Dustin Poirier what he had for breakfast, and he's giving you the most pissed off answer ever. He'll fucking say, man, I don't know, I had this fucking cereal, man. Dustin's always one smirk away from answering you in a pissed off manner. And not only that, but Rafael Fizeiv, he's a trainer at Tiger Muay Thai. So not only is he this cocky fighter, but he is also a guy that literally schools people on technique. So he thinks his technique is absolutely perfect. And Dustin Poirier is a guy that prides on his boxing. All right, Dustin Poirier is a guy that takes a whole lot of pride in his boxing. And he's not going to like this Rafael Fizeiv coming in there, man. He thinks he's so slick with his fucking switch kicks and all this shit. Dustin Poirier. Because the thing is, you would think that the people that anger Poirier are like McGregor. No. Dude, McGregor was shit-talking Poirier in the build-up to their trilogy. And Poirier was freaking smiling at him, dude. Poirier couldn't take him serious. It's these guys like Dan Hooker, okay? Dan Hooker just said, yeah, it'd be nice to fight Justin Gaethje, right? And Dustin Poirier took offense. That was like the biggest offense you could ever give Dustin Poirier. And after the fight, after, Dan Hooker was sort of crumbled into a ball up against the fence, Poirier goes over to him and says, hey, so you're going to fight Justin Gaethje? You're going to fight Justin Gaethje? How's that going to go down for you when you're in the hospital, buddy? He fucking hates that type of shit. He hates the fucking people that just have a tiny bit of confidence. A tiny bit of confidence that you could possibly beat him. And Dustin Poirier is going to be pissed at Rafael Fizeiv. I'm telling you right now, if you want the fucking angriest, shortest answer interview from Dustin Poirier, get him to fight Rafael Fizeiv. If you're a Dustin Poirier fan, you know what I'm talking about, all right? Poirier fans, just hardcore fans that know the little idiosyncrasies of Dustin Poirier and who he gets pissed off at and who doesn't affect him when it comes to a build-up. Rafael Fizeiv is the perfect person to piss him off. Because Fizeiv with his fucking perfect technique, Dustin Poirier would have a chip on his shoulder to take him into deep waters and beat the fuck out of him. Just so people stop hyping him up. Now, I think some people actually kind of underrate how incredible Fight Week is going to be with Big Mog and Alex Pereira. And this is what I'm talking about. Right now, things aren't really going so crazy because, there was a lot of trash talk between these two guys before the fight was announced, a lot of chirping back and forth, right? Now things are quiet, but on fight week, I'm telling you, during the weight cut, when Alex Pereira is doing his weight cut and he's getting angry and he's starting to grit down on his teeth and Magomed starts getting annoyed, in stare downs, you can literally see like a little bit of a smirkiness to Magomed. He almost has one of these like type of attitudes to him during the stare downs. And Pereira has this grittiness to him. And I think what people don't understand is that in Dagestan, they don't look at strikers, pure strikers, with the same respect as they view grapplers. And this is kind of what I'm getting at. It's kind of weird because like it's as if Alex Pereira is like the unserious guy. Does anyone else get that vibe from this sort of fight? The way that people view these sorts of fights. And I'm not only talking about Dagestan, I'm also talking about the way like commentators talk about these fights. Daniel Cormier, Chael Sonnen, you know, these guys love the wrestlers. It's almost as if when Alex Pereira fights a guy like Magomed, they'll be saying things like, I just don't know how Pereira's still doing this. Like, how is he still in this position? And Magomed's going to have this sense of like, dude, this guy's not serious, right? And then Alex Pereira is going to be pissed because he's going to be like, dude, I'm fucking serious. I'm more serious than you because I'm a striker and what? And I'm still going to knock you out. But there's always this sort of thing that the wrestlers have, like, yeah, this goofy striker thinks he's going to be able to beat me. This guy's not serious. It's a fucking fight style, okay? But that's why it's interesting. There's going to be the classic grappler who's not really just a grappler, but well-rounded grappler from Dagestan who's got the wrestling that thinks that Alex Pereira, even if Alex Pereira is the most serious guy ever with the stone face that he has, you know what I mean? Never smiling or anything. They still view Pereira as like the jokester, the class clown type of guy just because he's a striker, essentially is what I'm saying. And for hardcore MMA fans, we can see that. It's going to be interesting in the stare down. Magomed's going to have the smirk and he's going to do the thing where he, you know, goes like this. Alex Pereira is going to be their stone face. It's just going to be a great buildup because you know that Alex knows that Magomed thinks that he's not serious just because he's a striker. So I'm looking forward to it. That's one of them. The next one is Sean O'Malley versus Cory Sandhagen. Dude, I'm telling you right now, this would be a fun buildup because Cory Sandhagen would have his coalition of fans that think he's the Matrix 3.0 next level. He's he's not only Jokic, but he's also LeBron, man. He can dunk, but he can also put up triple doubles every single game and just shut you down everywhere. That's essentially how his fans view him. I'm a Cory Sandhagen fan, by the way. I love Cory Sandhagen. But, you know, I think he's slightly overrated. But the point is, Sandhagen's going to be, as the fight gets closer, he's going to be, you're going to listen to the interviews, and Sandhagen's going to be convincing you and I that he's going to go in there and put on a masterclass against Sean O'Malley. Sandhagen's kind of upset that O'Malley's been shunning this matchup. O'Malley's kind of big broing him because O'Malley recognizes that they both have like the same kind of archetype as a fighter, like long rangy strikers, even though Sandhagen mixes in the grappling a lot more, but you kind of get my point. O'Malley knows that people would just be really interested in this matchup, and he knows Sandhagen's been calling for it because like that's Sandhagen's biggest fight, and if Sandhagen doesn't get that, he's going to get like a fucking Ricky Simone type of matchup that no one is that hyped for. And so Sandhagen kind of needs the O'Malley matchup. O'Malley, no matter what, is going to get a fucking big matchup. And for that reason, he knows that he can just piss Sandhagen off by kind of like rolling him off the shoulder and not even pretending that he doesn't even exist, essentially. Whereas Sandhagen's been calling for the fight. I really want to see the fight. I think it'd be an amazing fight. Sandhagen, you know, even though I would pick O'Malley, you know how Sandhagen is. Sandhagen, in the build-up to a Sandhagen fight, you start listening to Sandhagen interviews and he'll convince you that he can fucking run up Mount Everest in 1 minute. You know what I mean? Like, he'll be talking about the specifics and, hey, man, there's just so many things I'm doing in the gym. Like, I don't know. I can't really do a Sandhagen impression. But Sandhagen's going to be talking about, like, just taking it to the next level. Like, you know, just really understanding the game at a different level that nobody's ever been able to understand it at. And you're going to start to buy into it as well. I think he could win if he mixes it up because obviously Sandhagen can close the distance with the striking and also shoot takedowns. On to the next one. Last but not least, Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. All right. Everything Makhachev can do to get in his opponent's head, Ilia Topuria already does that to get in his opponent's head. Makhachev's, you guys have heard it. He's Mr. Smirk. Okay. Ilia, He can match the smirk. Makhachev talks a lot of shit when it comes to, pure competition. Ilia does the same shit. He was saying that to Max Holloway. He said, I have no doubt that he'll turn it around because Max Holloway's lost 7 times in his career. He's really good at bouncing back. He does the same thing. They have the same pride in being like undefeated, even though Makhachev's not undefeated. He's lost 1 fight, but Makhachev, he's only lost once as a novice. Not a novice. He was in the UFC, but a tadpole. He kind of has the same mentality. Okay. Makhachev usually has this smirkiness to him, sort of like Ankalaev in a way. Ankalaev, he kind of looks at Pereira as not that this guy's not very serious because he's a striker. Makhachev does the same thing with his opponents, right? With Volk, it was like, this guy wrestled in Australia. That's not serious. Okay. And Makhachev it can't do that to Ilia because Ilia's been training judo and martial arts since he was a kid. He's started with grappling. And then, of course, Ilia Topuria can knock him out. That's another thing. So, like, Makhachev knows this is an extremely dangerous fight. Even Poirier is dangerous. That was a dangerous fight. Charles is dangerous, but Ilia Topuria's boxing and speed is on another level to Topuria in comparison to Oliveira. Volk, great fighter, just doesn't have the pop of an Ilia Topuria. Makhachev understands that this is the most dangerous fight of his entire career by a long shot. People are saying I'm glazing Ilia these days. I'm a bigger fan of Islam Makhachev. I just think Ilia Topuria beats him. It's kind of funny. People say, you're not a real fan of Makhachev. Why else would you be calling for this fight? It's like, because it would be one of the best fights in UFC history, because it would be heated in the buildup, because, of where they're from, and both guys talk shit. It would be really fun. And Ilia Topuria could knock Makhachev out. That's a scary fight for Makhachev, and I want to see Makhachev in one of those matchups. Not because I'm not a fan of him, just because that's what makes fights fun. It's fun watching a Yuri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill because you're on the edge of your seat because either one can get knocked out at any moment. And when your favorite fighter is in the cage fighting someone that's really dangerous, you're on the edge of your seat. Okay, that's the best time to watch a fight. You don't want to be watching your favorite fighter fight like a fucking can, or they're just going to smoke them. That's not interesting. It's not entertaining. You already know what the outcome is going to be. I'm a bigger fan of Makhachev. I'm a big fan of Ilia these days. Of course I was rooting for Volk, and I kind of wanted Holloway, but at the same time, Ilia Topuria, how could you not be a fan of him? He's entertaining. He talks shit. His style is really fun. Okay, so of course I'm a fan of him too, but again, people think that, you're glazing Topuria. Why? Because I think he'll beat Makhachev. I'm glazing him. Styles make fights. All right. The only person I would pick to beat Makhachev is Ilia. But the point is, it would be a fun buildup. Okay. Because stylistically, you as a fan just can't look at this fight as a Makhachev by whatever he wants, because he can get flatlined. All right. And for Topuria, if you're a Topuria fan, Topuria's got a whole lot of aura of invincibility, but against Makhachev, it probably wouldn't be the same, just because we know how good he is. We know how well-rounded he is. But obviously, this is the fight to make. It's the most competitive matchup you can make in the UFC, probably the highest skilled matchup you can make in the UFC, aside from Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan. But also just the buildup would be really fun. The trash talking, everything Makhachev does in the buildup, Ilia can do too. And they both have similar styles of shit talk. So it would be really fun to see this one.